Girl, you made lunches, you've answered emails, you've held somebody else's emotions together, you drove somebody somewhere, you said yes to everything when every part of you wanted to say no. And by 9 o'clock at night, you're standing in the pantry, and not because you're hungry, but because it's the only moment of the day that was actually just yours. What is up, you gorgeous, fabulous creatures, and welcome back to the Losing It podcast. I am your host, Kylie Pax, Australia's emotional eating coach, and today we are going somewhere so real, it's diabolical that we haven't talked about this before, because what I just described is your typical Tuesday or Wednesday or your every bloody day. Then this episode is for you. Today we're talking about that empty cup syndrome that you have been feeling with food. And I don't mean in a fluffy self-care bath bomb way. I mean, this is why you keep eating when you're not freaking hungry kind of way. So let's get into it. Now, before we dive in today, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the new listeners that have been joining us. And if you haven't already, please remember to hit that subscribe button. It is the small little cute gestures like that let me know that this content is making an impact, and it helps push it out to other women who need it. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the thing that nobody wants to talk about, but everybody knows on the inside. Your emotional eating, it's actually not a food problem, sis. This is a you putting your damn self last problem. You have spent, and I do mean spent, years, probably more like decades, being everything to everyone. You're the one who holds it all together. You are the one who keeps showing up. You're the one who never lets anyone down. But somewhere along the way, your body got pretty smart, sexy, savvy, and switched on, and your nervous system learned a very specific freaking lesson. There's so much I really want to be swearing today, but I'm so trying to tone it down. Your nervous system learned that the only time it gets something for itself is when nobody's watching and the pantry is open. Now, let's just be super honest and transparent about this. That is not you having a weak ass. Because nobody has a weak ass. It's not your weak ass. That is not a lack of willpower. That is a completely very logical response to a life where you have never been on your own damn priority list. Food became your cup because nothing else was going to fill it. I know that when I went through my divorce several years ago now, but I was freaked right out. It was the first time in my life I'd ever been truly alone and on my own and responsible for taking care of my damn self. I mean, I had a mortgage to pay. I had to figure out how I was going to support myself because prior to that, my then husband and I had been working in a business together. All the income was earned together. The bills were paid together. Everything was damn together. And I had to figure out how to do life alone. I was scared shitless, to be honest. And I reckon that's when I had my first mental beat. I had my first mental breakdown because I didn't know how I was going to do this on my own. I didn't have time to panic about losing him because I was more panicked about making sure I kept a roof over my head. I could pay the bills. I could pay the mortgage, and Molly was going to get fed. This was all I was shitting myself about that. I was going to schedule the breakdown for losing the husband later. I didn't have time to worry about that then. I had to earn money and I had to earn it fast. So I remember pouring everything I had at that time into getting myself a coach. I got a couple of coaches actually, one to help me with the business and one to help me with my personal life. And I worked really side by side with them for a long time, but there was night after night after night that I would be crying on the office floor. I remember holding onto the legs of the chair, just crying and thinking, I can't do this. I can't. I thought, truly thought that my body was going to shatter into a million pieces. I thought, how can somebody be this terrified and in this much pain, and how can their heart still be beating? I thought it was going to kill me. I thought the heartbreak and the heartache and the fear and the terror and the anxiety of the entire situation was going to kill me. It baffled my mind why my heart was still able to beat and function when I felt this much physical and emotional pain. But hey, your girl's still here. But I remember there were many nights. It wasn't even, I just want to say many nights. No, it was every night. It was every day and every night. First thing when my eyes opened in the morning, I was thinking about food, and it was the last thing that I would think about at night. Before I went to bed at night, I would make one final run I would make a dash. I would make like a pantry dash, right? You got DoorDash. I would make a pantry dash and I would go and stuff my face with food. Again, whatever I could grab, nuts, dried fruit. I was eating dry cacao powder at one stage, a few more bites of chocolate, anything that would try and soothe my nervous system before I went to bed, because I knew I wasn't going to get any more food until the morning. And just that put me into a panic. There was so much loss in my life at that time. I had lost my husband. I had lost everything I'd ever known. I had lost the business that we were running. I'd lost my income. I'd lost my sense of self. And that was my identity. My identity was as a wife. So I now had to navigate, who the hell am I without this person by my side? And what was probably the most important question for me to ask was, who do I actually want to be without this person by my side? Not who am I? I don't know I didn't know who I was. I was just a young girl when I got married. I didn't know who I was without him, but I became very savvy early on to realize that this was an opportunity that not everybody gets in their life. I was given the opportunity, and a gift really, to get to reinvent myself. I was in my 40s at the time, and I realized I have a choice here. I can either be a sad sack and sit around and cry for the next 2 years and just call it heartbreak and hate on men, or I can decide who I want to be now. Forget who I used to be. Who do I want to be? And I spent hours and hours journaling on this question. I envisaged who I wanted to be. I created a persona in my mind. I thought about an alter ego. Who would this version of me be? This new, sexy, savvy version. Who is she going to be? How is she going to dress? How is she going to act? How is she going to talk? What are her standards going to be? What are her boundaries going to be? Who will she associate with? And who will she freaking never associate with again? These things were super, super important. And the clearer I got on them, the quicker I was able to calm my nervous system, because I chose who I was going to be moving forward. So this is the first tool that I want to talk to you about today. I would say just grab your phone, or if you're more like me, just grab a piece of paper, whatever's closest. But you're going to write down 2 columns, or just picture them in your head right now. And in the first column, you're going to write down every single person or role or responsibility, whatever it is that you give your energy to in a week. So it's your kids, your partner, your boss, your coworkers. I don't even freaking care if it's the group chat. You've got your school committees, the work you bring home, everything. Write that shit down. This is all the things you have to deal with in a week. And then in the second column, I want you to write down what you are actually doing for you. Not what you planned to do, but you never got around to it. Not what you intended to do, but what actually played out. What happened? And girl, please, now, I don't even see your list. I already know. Look at those 2 columns. See that gap, that big ass gap there between them? That is the gap that you've been filling with food. And I want you to really see that, because most women that I work with have never written this down. They feel it, but they've never seen it laid out in black and white. And when you see it written down like that, I'm telling you guys, something shifts, because you stop blaming yourself for having no willpower and no discipline and no follow through. And you get to see the actual truth. You're not broken. Sis, please, as if you're running on empty and you've been doing it for years. Now, I'm going to give you the second part to this little mini workshop, although I'm going to give it to you from 2 points of view. I will tell you what you can do, and I will also tell you why I don't like it. So what you can do is you can look at this list, and the next time you find yourself being stretched in 1,000 different freaking directions and you wanting to grab Macca's drive-thru on the way home because, hey, you quote unquote deserve it, I want you to ask yourself, what are you actually hungry for in that moment? Because you can say stupid shit like sunshine and or, rainbows and all that stuff, but the pantry is still the easiest solution at 9 p.m. at night. Now, are you hungry for some quiet time? Are you really needing some recognition from your boss or from your bloody partner who just takes you for granted? Please don't tell me they don't. I know they fucking do. Are you hungry for some rest? Do you actually need deep bone rest, like lying in your bed for 18 hours straight? What is it that you actually need? Now, you can think about these things, but I will tell you my view on them. When you know what you need, that's fan-freaking-tastic. However, I still don't give a shit when I am wanting to binge or feeling cravings that I simply can't control. Me knowing that what I need is rest or recognition is not very fucking helpful, because I can't get it. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. There's nobody to back me up. How the hell am I supposed to give these things to myself? So it's nice to know, but not ultimately very useful. Here's what I find is better to do instead. So you need to put on your big girl pants, step into that 1% version of you, that badass version of you, the version of you who doesn't take shit from anybody. Somebody's coming and telling you, I need you to do this. You didn't do this properly. You're just looking at them like, are you fucking delusional? Are you of sound mind? Do I look like I have more capacity on my plate to take on your problems and your dramas and your shit as well? Girl, it is time for you to send people packing. If their problem isn't going to directly influence your happiness or health, then, as they say on Instagram, you can be a very, very nice, kind person and still tell other people to fuck right off. This has been my mantra for the majority of this year. I don't have time anymore for people who are wasting my time, who are sucking up my personal energy. I used to be the most embarrassing people pleaser on the planet, so much so that I ended up getting myself in real trouble with a particular woman who just sucked me dry. That sounds hideous, doesn't it? But she did. Suck the marrow out of my bones like some kind of bone marrow vampire. When she said jump, I said how high. And how fucking embarrassing for me is that? Okay, the swearing is happening. Let's just face facts, people. The swearing is happening. How embarrassing for me that I didn't have enough self-respect to say, you know what? I can't actually do that thing that you're asking me to do. I don't have time to do that thing that you're asking me to do. Not only that, I don't even freaking want to do that thing you're asking me to do. And I'm telling you, the first time I started to push back, there was stone cold anger coming my way. Like the anger then turned into fury and the fury turned into violence. But I will tell you one thing that came out of it. I did not come out the other side of that the same person. I have boundaries of fire. I mean, you try and come near my boundaries, your hair's on your nostrils, the hair's up your snout, they're going to get singed like this. Why? Why am I telling you this? Because I matter too. I matter too. Other people might have their non-negotiables, but so do fucking I. So if the kids need me to do something now, my response is, that's fantastic. More than happy to do that for you after you do the dishes you told me you were going to do 2 days ago. After I take the walk that I said I was going to do this morning. After I do XYZ for myself. No one's getting away with anything in my house anymore. From now on, I do the walking every day on my own. Nobody else present because I want to listen to podcasts. That's my time. I go to bed 30 minutes earlier. I'm saying no to at least one thing per week that sucks the life out of me. And I'm also having those conversations that we all avoid because they're uncomfortable and it's going to make the other person squirm. Notice though how I'm not saying, and I go to the gym 7 days a week and my workouts are immaculate and I meal prep every Sunday. No, fuck that shit. I'm saying I pick 1 or 2 things that are mine and they are consistent non-negotiables in my world. Because here's what actually happens when you do that consistently. Your nervous system stops going into overdrive and using food as its only source of receiving something, some kind of pleasure in this craziness that we call life. So now you're starting to stack receipts. The evidence is coming in that you can be trusted. Your brain is watching you do the things you said you were going to do. It's seeing you show up for yourself. And that is how you build identity change. It doesn't happen because you journal who you want to be on a piece of paper. It's not it. Sticky notes are not going to cut it. Affirmations are not going to cut it. Meditation alone, not going to cut it. It happens on those random Tuesdays when you carve out 10, 20, 30 minutes that are just yours and you do that shit without feeling like a selfish cow. Now, can we just talk about the mum guilt for a second? Because I know that that is also sitting in the room here. So many women that I work with feel like protecting their own time and their energy and their sanity, but somehow they believe that it's selfish, like being a good mom or a good partner or whatever, that is going to just crumble before them like a sand dune. I don't know what this means. Honey, please, you need to hear this. When you pour into yourself, you are actually pouring into a better version of yourself for everyone else. Your kids don't need a mum who runs around on empty all the time and is squirreling around in the cupboard and eating in secret because she's got no other outlet. They need a mum who shows them what a woman, a mother with standards looks like, what that actually looks like. A woman who respects her own body, a woman who follows through on the things she says she's going to do. And babe, you're the blueprint for that. Do you think they're not watching? They're watching everything. They're little peepers. They pretend they're not. You think that they're binge watching their TV shows. They're picking up everything that you do. That is why I said at the beginning, your emotional eating is not a food problem. It's a you last problem. You've spent so long being everything to everybody else that now when no one's watching, you think that you can get away with some shit. But who's paying the price for that? Please tell me, how is anybody else suffering? You're like, that's it. I'm going to get back at them. I'm going to eat this food here and screw them all. I'm eating all these cupcakes that were supposed to go to the school bake fest. Yeah, okay, Karen, great idea. That's really going to show them. Listen, I talk a lot on this podcast about the 1% woman versus the 99% woman. Here's what I actually mean when I say that. 99% of women out there are giving to everybody else first, and they will take begrudgingly, but they'll do it. They'll take the scraps or whatever's left for themselves. Or they're using food as their only designated me time. Or they're feeling really guilty when they're protecting their energy and they just feel like they can't do it. So they go ahead and run on fumes and will then wonder why they can't stop binge eating. But please, girl, if you take one thing away from today's episode, understand the behaviors, the choices, the thinking patterns of the 1% woman. She's the one who protects her energy like it's a non-negotiable business meeting. Everything is at risk if she doesn't protect her energy. How important would it fucking be to you then? She's the one who fills her cup with other things. Food is fine, of course. I'm not saying you shouldn't have beautiful, delicious, yummy food, but it shouldn't be your only source of comfort. She's the one who knows her well-being isn't selfish. It's the foundation on which she stands for everything that she's able to give to the people that she loves. So she's not out there eating her feelings, feeling like she's being judged. That's some bullshit. That's the old version of her. She knows that, but now she shows up for herself first so that she can actually show up for everyone else at full capacity. This is you. This is you, but it all starts with the tiny micro decision. It doesn't start with the big ass, that's it, I'm starting a new diet, I'm starting a new plan. No, that's all BS. We know that. We've all done it before. It starts with you making one little internal audit this week. Okay, I said that I wasn't going to eat 55 blocks of chocolate each night. I'm only going to eat 51. Okay, fine. Eat your 51. It's one small change. It's all making progress. It might be small. It might be consistent. It's kind of unsexy, but it is life-changing. So, honey, if you have heard yourself in this episode today, the woman who's just giving everything randomly to everybody else and then is stuffing her face like a rabid squirrel because nothing else is designated for you, I want you to know that that is exactly what we work through inside of the Bombshell Blueprint, because the eating, of course, is never the problem. It's not about the food, but it's not about the food. It's also about finally putting yourself on the list of shit that matters in my life. Honey, you should be up the top. Inside of the Blueprint, we stop white knuckling our way through diets and macros and calories. It's just so insane. We start actually fixing what's underneath the binge, the psychology, the identity, the emotional eating patterns. No other programs out there touch this stuff. The link is in the show notes. Come and join us. And if this episode hit home, go ahead and share it with a bestie. Send it to a woman that you love who's been running on empty. Please remember, tag me on Instagram. You can come over there and chat with me anytime or leave a review. Every single share that you put out there for this episode in front of another woman helps spread the message further. Thank you again so much to everyone for joining me today. And please, 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 as always, remember the only person who has the power to change your life is you. When you step up, stop buying into your own bullshit excuses and reasonings and finally take a look at how much you're putting into everybody else versus what you're prepared to give to yourself. Because don't even tell me that you can't. I know you can. It's all a choice. When you realize that you are worthy of just as much as everybody else, that's when you've got what it takes. I'm sending you love. I can't wait to see you again next week. Until then, gorgeous ones, bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to shimmy your butt over to kyliepax.com and join me inside of the Bombshell Blueprint so you can stop emotional eating and start losing your weight now. You'll also find helpful notes and resources inside my past podcasts that will help you lose your weight without losing your sanity. I will see you next week.